The Texas Tech football team is back in the headlines this week after another showdown against a Big 12 opponent, one with a lot of history not in the Red Raiders' favor. Coming up, MCTV's Aiden Wasson will let us know if Tech football finally found victory in the Little Apple.
Halloween took over the Lubbock area last week, but most festivities ended on Friday night. But one group of students got some extra credit as they hosted a spooky event for a ghoulishly good cause. We'll have the details on this year's 806 Halloween Bash.
And it's almost impossible to count the number of musicians who call Lubbock and the South Plains home. But there's even more who credit their success to the Hub City music scene. Find out how one local venue is continuing a long-running tradition of opening up a mic to help create a new generation of performers.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Yemi Akinyeye.
And I'm Medhin Buriani. The buzz around the Texas Tech football team has been quieter the last couple of weeks after the Red Raiders lost to Arizona State. But the team still has high hopes to improve their record and their chances at the postseason.
So could the Red Raiders find victory against a team that had beaten them 8 times in a row? MCTV's Aiden Wasson joins us now for a first look at this past weekend's action in sports. Aiden?
Thank you, Yemi and Medhin. While the Jones was quiet this weekend, Texas Tech football was making noise a couple of states over as they took on the Kansas State Wildcats. Kansas State put up a good fight against the 13th-ranked Red Raiders throughout the match, but the Red Raiders' defense came up clutch in the fourth to put the game on ice. Though Kansas State's quarterback Avery Johnson did put up 3 touchdowns, the Tech defense kept the Kansas State offense in check throughout the game by forcing 5 turnovers, with star linebacker Jacob Rodriguez leading the charge with 2 forced fumbles. With this win, Texas Tech looks to be eyeing a spot in the Big 12 championship along with a potential playoff bid. Coming up later in sports, I'll have an inside look at the highlights from Saturday, along with details on other Red Raider teams who are getting back into action. Back to you, Medhin.
Thanks, Aiden. Back here in Lubbock, the Jones may have been empty, but there was plenty of other events and activities happening around the Hub City. Here in the Media and Communications Building, the Texas Association of Broadcasters hosted the annual Southwest Broadcast Newsroom Workshop. The day-long event featured more than 20 sessions spread out across the 3rd floor of the MCOM classroom building. Attendees had the chance to learn about the changes in the industry, brush up on their skills, and hear from leading journalists from around Texas and the United States. Faculty from the College of Media and Communication also led sessions and participated in panel discussions. And several alumni of the college who work in the local media were also part of the workshop. The Southwest Broadcast Newsroom Workshop is held each year by TAB, rotating to different locations around Texas. This year was the first time the workshop returned to Texas Tech since 2014.
This past Friday was Halloween, and many frighteningly fun events and activities finished up as the spooky season came to an end. But one group of students decided to extend the horror of the holiday one more day in hopes of helping out for a good cause. Raider Creative hosted the 2nd annual 806 Halloween Bash on Saturday at the Apex Event Center. The event featured games, prizes, and lots of candy. Everyone at the event also had the chance to compete in costume contests with the division for both children and adults. Admission to the event was free, but attendees could buy activity tickets for $1 to play games or participate in some of the activities. This is the 2nd year that the 806 Halloween Bash has been put on by Raider Creative. The group is made up of students in the advertising campaigns class here at Texas Tech to get real-world experience while providing a fun environment for the community.
I hope that they just have a really fun and safe time during, this Halloween season and get a lot of really cool, great memories, and even take home some fun spin art or painted rocks or whatever else they want to do. Yeah, so just a fun time.
All of the money raised during Saturday's event was donated to Literacy Lubbock, a local nonprofit that focuses on adult literacy and education. Raider Creative started organizing the event with Literacy Lubbock at the beginning of the semester, and the students will continue to work with the group until the advertising campaigns class ends in December.
Last November, people across the country headed to the polls for a historical election to vote for the next President of the United States. This year's Election Day may not be getting as much attention, but there's still several important decisions you can help by heading to the polls. Tomorrow is Election Day for the November 2025 Constitutional Amendment and special elections. This year's ballot includes 17 proposed amendments to the Texas State Constitution. Many of the propositions focus on real estate taxes and exemptions, but there are also amendments regarding the denial of bail to individuals accused of certain violent and sexual crimes, the Texas Water Fund, and specific language to state that parents are the primary decision makers for their children. One other proposed amendment that has been getting additional attention is the establishment of the Dementia Prevention and Research Institute of Texas. This institute would provide funding for the research and treatment of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease and similar disorders. The institute has received support from several national groups, including the Alzheimer's Association and the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. Polls for the November election will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow across Lubbock here on campus. The voting location for the election will be in the Sub-Red Raider Ballroom. Voters are required to provide a form of identification, and you must be a resident of the county where you cast your vote. For more information on the November elections, visit votetexas.org. Last Thursday, the first freeze of the fall season was reported at the Lubbock International Airport. But since then, temperatures have stayed above 32 degrees, even though it's still been pretty chilly in the early morning.
Daytime temperature were also a bit cooler last week, but a warming trend started yesterday that should be continuing into this week. Let's take a look at the MCTV forecast. It's a bright and sunny day on the MCTV tower cam. We haven't seen any clouds today, and that's helping temperatures climb a little higher than last week. We should top out in the low 80s this afternoon, marking the first time we've been above 70 degrees in almost a week. But today is just the start of a round of warmer temperatures across the board. Lows are expected to only drop into the upper 40s throughout the week, and highs are expected to stay above 80 until Friday. We should also continue to see lots of sunshine this week, with only a few clouds expected to move across our area this week. Unfortunately, that means we won't be seeing any rain in the near future. According to the U.S. Drought Monitor, the South Plains has already fallen into drought this season. Most of the South Plains is currently listed as abnormally dry, which is the first stage of drought. But if the lack of rain continues, conditions will worsen as we head into the winter. In the meantime, the spring-like weather will create near-perfect conditions for outdoor activities. But looking ahead, another cold front is predicted to move into our area this weekend, and that could create another round of cooler temperatures as we head into the middle of November.
Speaking of outdoor activities, the warmer weather will also be great for fall sports this week, including a huge football game coming up this Saturday at the Jones.
But some other Red Raiders are also gearing up for a big week of action, including one team that is ready to show off their skills after months of preseason hype. MCTV's Aiden Wasson joins us again with a full rundown of all the latest athletic action in sports. Aiden?
Thank you, Yemi and Medhin. It seems that besides football, many Red Raider sports decide to take Halloween weekend off. But don't be disappointed, because there are plenty of other games and exciting activities to look forward to this coming week. First, let's take a look at our long-awaited men's basketball team. After making it into the Elite Eight last year, Texas Tech basketball looks to bring a March Madness championship home this year. Coming into the season, the Red Raiders are ranked number 10 in the country and have 6 starters returning, including JT Toppin, who was last year's Big 12 Player of the Year. Head coach Grant McCasland also brought in 8 newcomers to the team. The Red Raiders' first game will be tomorrow night at the USA versus Lindenwood at 7 p.m., so make sure to come out and support the team and the start of their season. After another win this past Wednesday, Texas Tech volleyball is on a bit of a hot streak with 2 wins in a row. They didn't have a game this past weekend, but they will be traveling to Tempe, Arizona on Wednesday to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils at 7 p.m. Arizona State is the second-ranked team in the Big 12, so this game will be a tough matchup for the Red Raiders. But if they can manage to put them down, it would make for an incredible upset. If you aren't traveling to Tempe, you can catch the game on ESPN+. The Texas Tech women's soccer team took Halloween weekend off too, but that came after a duel at home against UCF on Thursday. The Red Raiders came into this match off a win against Kansas State, putting them at 13-2-2 on the season, and being ranked at number 15 in the country. This match against the UCF Knights was a pivotal conference battle that would decide their placement in the Big 12 standings, and more importantly, the Big 12 tournament. Throughout the season, the Red Raiders have outshot every single opponent they've faced, and that didn't change Thursday as the Red Raiders shot the ball 20 times, in contrast to the Knights' 3 shots. However, none of those shots seemed to land as this match resulted in a 0-0 tie, putting the Red Raiders' final regular season record at 13-2-3 and 7-1-3 in conference matches. Though the match ended in a tie, their final record was good enough to secure them the number 4 spot in the Big 12 tournament. In fact, they just got done playing the number 5 seed Baylor Bears about 30 minutes ago, and it was a nail-biter. The game ended in a 1-1 tie through regulation, and even through 2 overtimes, Baylor and Texas Tech couldn't decide a winner. But finally, after a series of 9 penalty kicks, Texas Tech fell short in a sudden death shootout 7-6. Texas Tech is now knocked out of the Big 12 tournament, but they still have a chance at an at-large bid for the national championship tournament thanks to their spectacular regular season performance. Now let's turn our attention to the spotlight of this week. Texas Tech football traveled to Manhattan to take on the Kansas State Wildcats this Saturday. Many sports enthusiasts predicted that this game could be a potential upset for the 13th ranked Red Raiders. And the start of the game seemed to follow that script as Baron Morton, coming off a 3-week injury, threw an interception on the 6th play of the game, but Texas Tech defense got the ball right back with an interception by Bryce Pollock. However, the Texas Tech offense was a bit shaky and didn't produce anything after that pick, and ended up punting the ball away to the Kansas State offense. And Kansas State didn't make the same mistakes as last drive, with quarterback Avery Johnson taking a 46-yard touchdown run to the house. Avery Johnson is recognized as one of the most dangerous and fastest dual-threat quarterbacks in the nation, and he continued to be a problem for the Tech defense down the stretch. The score remained 0-7 until the second quarter, where Texas Tech finally kicked a field goal. From there, Texas Tech seemed to forge the momentum in their favor as the Kansas State offense took the field, and in a matter of 2 plays, star linebacker Jacob Rodriguez punched the ball right out of a Kansas State receiver's hands. The Red Raider offense took the field and made Kansas State pay for that costly turnover with a touchdown by running back Cameron Dickey. Texas Tech put another 3 on the board before half to make the score 12-7. Heading into the break, though Texas Tech had the lead and some momentum on their side, it's fair to assume that some fans were a little uncomfy with only a 5-point cushion. But the Red Raider defense stepped up once more as Jacob Rodriguez forced another fumble at the start of the third quarter. And it didn't take long for the offense to get their gears moving as Jacoby Williams weaved in and out of defenders as he turned what seemed like a mere 10-yard run into a house call for the Red Raiders, giving them 7 more points. But Kansas State quickly shifted the momentum on their side as Avery Johnson completed a 56-yard pass downfield. And this kid would prove to be hard to stop as he ran the ball in for another rushing touchdown to make the score 19-14. Texas Tech scored a field goal the next drive. Then after forcing Kansas State to punt the ball, Baron Morton came out onto the field and began to look like his old self as he hit Terrence Carter on the run for a 38-yard gain. A couple of plays later on 4th and 1, he faked a handoff and threw a dime to Caleb Douglas down the field. Douglas caught the ball and laid his body all the way out to the goal line for the touchdown. But wait, the refs reviewed the call and somehow ruled that he was short of the goal line. But hey, you know what they say? That ball don't lie. And a couple of plays later, Morton found Douglas in the end zone to give him that touchdown he rightly deserved. With the score now 29-14, it was apparent that Texas Tech offense found their footing as they scored on each of the previous 6 drives and accumulated over 300 yards while doing so. But Kansas State once again came back crawling as Avery Johnson led an 8-play, 70-yard touchdown drive early in the fourth quarter to make the score 29-20. That score remained on the board deep into the fourth quarter as both teams were fighting for an ounce of momentum, with Kansas State forcing another turnover and the Texas Tech defense stopping Kansas State on 4th down multiple times. It seemed that the match was at a standstill until Texas Tech essentially put the game on ice as they forced another fumble, but this time for a scoop and score touchdown by John Curry to push the lead to 16th late in the fourth. But if that wasn't enough to secure the win, the Tech defense got one more turnover via an interception to put the game away. Texas Tech did score one more touchdown as Morton lobbed a pass up to Caleb Douglas on a go route, but those were just for style points as Texas Tech took the win in Manhattan 43-20. Texas Tech saw a 4-spot bump in the AP poll to number 9 and is now sitting pretty at the number 2 spot in the Big 12 Conference. The official college football playoff polls will release tomorrow night, so stay tuned for those results. Texas Tech will be taking on the number 8th ranked BYU Cougars at 11 a.m. this Saturday at home for what will be the highest ranked matchup Lubbock has seen in over 15 years. But if that wasn't enough to get you hyped up for this ranked showdown, this upcoming news will get you out of your seat. College Game Day will be coming to Lubbock for this matchup. The last time College Game Day came to Lubbock was in 2008 when number 7 Texas Tech hosted the number 1 Texas Longhorns. Texas Tech ended up winning the game in historic fashion as star receiver Michael Crabtree scored the game-winning touchdown with 1 second left as he tiptoed on the sideline like a ballerina into the end zone. Texas Tech won the game 39-33, and we sure hope to see another thriller like that this weekend. Hosted by stars like Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, Pat McAfee, Desmond Howard, and Nick Saban, this show will bring the hype to Lubbock, and we need to show up for it. So make sure to get there early because it packs up fast. Also, in case you didn't know, Pat McAfee tends to give away a pretty sizable amount of money to a lucky student who gets picked to attempt a field goal kick. So, if you want a shot at his money, maybe hit the field and practice a few kicks, because I know I will. And for any of you Patrick Mahomes fans out there, Kirk Herbstreit teased that the Chiefs star might just show up on Saturday as a guest picker. But nothing is confirmed yet, so be on the lookout. That's all I have for sports. Back to you, Yemi and Medhin.
Thanks, Aiden. The Lubbock area is known for helping to launch the careers of many musicians, including some famous ones like Buddy Holly, Natalie Maines, and Texas Tech's own Flatland Cavalry.
One of those stars launched their careers by playing at local venues such as bars and dance halls, and one local brewery is hoping to play a role with the next local celebrity. Every Sunday, Two Docks Brewery Company hosts the 502 Jam in downtown Lubbock. Each week, local musicians are invited to the venues for an open mic session that runs from 5:02 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sign-ups start before the session with a wide range of performers taking the stage through the night. In the meantime, guests can enjoy one of the Two Docks brews on tap, and a local food truck is also available for music lovers wanting to grab a bite to eat as they enjoy the performances. The weekly event was organized and hosted by Clay Gibson, a musician from Levelland who also performs on the local stage. The next 502 Jam is scheduled for this Sunday, November 9th. And you can find Two Docks at 502 Texas Avenue behind the Louise Hopkins Underwood Center for the Arts.
So, Medhin, have you been to Two Docks or a 502 Jam night?
No, I actually haven't, but it sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Have you?
Oh, right. No, not exactly, but I would love to, you know.
We should go together then.
We should.
Let's check it out.
Let's check it out. Yeah, y'all should check it out too. Anyways, that's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check out the ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you on Thursday.